Today we had Martin Brandenburg from DJI, and who has a fantastic gadget with him, which I am very much seduced into buying. And but first, I mean, a little bit about the company. When did it start?
DJI was founded in 2006, so it's a relatively young company.
In China, right? Shenzhen?
Shenzhen, that's exactly right, yes.
And now, you know, this nice little small company grew a little bit. How many people are there now?
In total, about 14,000 people now.
My God,
Yeah.
14,000. How many in manufacturing?
8,000.
And what do the other 6,000 do?
Well, about a third of them work in R&D, which makes us very proud. So we consider ourselves a product and engineering company, and the rest is basically what I do. You know, marketing,
Sales and marketing,
and everything that goes with running a business.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the market? Where is your biggest market? Is that in Asia or in America, or what's the biggest market?
Well, at the moment, North America and Europe, Middle East, Africa are pretty much tied. Then China, and then APAC, Asia Pacific.
Okay. So what are these things used for?
That's a great question. I get that a lot because
80% consumer and 20% business, or how does it work?
You wouldn't necessarily quantify it like that. I think what's important to point out that the whole industry and the whole product category is brand new. So I get that question a lot. What do you actually use a drone for? And at the beginning, when we started the business, it was just about the joy of flying. It was just to get airborne and kind of live your childhood dream.
Yeah, so that's also how the founder started, right? With this just the joy of flying and.
Correct. That's exactly right. So his idea was to we call it democratization of technology, to do something extremely complex, which the control of an RC helicopter is, and make that accessible for everybody. So the first step was to just stabilize flight, which in itself is very complex. The next idea was to bring that into the hand of everybody. So when we launched the first Phantom, which was the first we call ready to fly copter.
I bought it, yeah.
Very good, good for you. That really put the sensation of flying into the hands of everybody. And the next evolution was to add cameras. The next evolution was to make those cameras even better and add sensors and intelligence. And now kind of the next evolution is we're really talking about smart products. So it's almost like a flying supercomputer. We have a 1-inch 20 megapixel camera on this one. We have sensors all around.
How many sensors are in this one?
11 in total. 11 in total. So
yeah, so it's really irritating, right? If you try to fly it into a crowd, it starts screaming at you that it doesn't want to do that.
It wouldn't let you. So you know, we're really adding, you know, great features, also autonomous flying features. So the drone really helps the camera operator, the pilot, to take great footage. So you don't really have, and that's the whole idea behind it. You don't have to think about flying. You think about getting a great shot.
Yeah. So okay. So that is basically what it does. It has a nice camera and it's stable, and you can fly it. But what are people doing it with it? I mean, so what percentage are just having nice movies about them jumping up and down or swimming or doing any kind of extreme sport, and how many is it used for business?
So the majority of what you and I currently see on YouTube is obviously great videos, very emotional videos coming from a new perspective. What we're seeing more and more, specifically over the past, let's say 2.5 years, is the use for commercial applications. So think of life-saving. So we talked about the Red Cross, police, firefighters, who are really able to get to the fire quick and then really can determine, you know, how do we attack the fire to save lives.
The Red Cross, what are they doing with it?
Well, for instance, you know, to find people that may have gotten lost, you know, in remote areas during accidents, accidental sites. So you get that perspective from above. And what's really great about these products, everybody can use them, and they get airborne within 30 minutes. So
and they're small and they're very comfortable and they're not very expensive, and that kind of. So that is emergency services. What else do you have?
So we see a lot of companies now using it for 3D mapping. What's really fascinating is even a product like this, which for, you know, commercial application, we're talking 14.99 euros. That's a very, you know, very good price point. They can use this product with the right software to basically automatically fly a grid of a certain area, and then within a matter of minutes you get a 3D CAD ready image of the environment. So you can seamlessly integrate that with, you know, your architecture and your whole planning. So that is huge and that is growing.
Okay. What kind of software is that which allows you to make a 3D model out of that?
There's a couple of suppliers that that do these type of software, so I wouldn't necessarily pick up a specific one.
Okay, so that is interesting. Anything with modeling and new things, and then putting models on top of that world. Yeah. What else?
Inspection. It's a huge business that is growing. Think of all the power grids, the power lines, and also obviously the wind energy. I call them windmills, and we're able to deliver a solution to the companies powering or running these type of power plants, because typically it takes 3 to 5 hours of manual work to inspect one of these windmills.
Yeah. And can I automate that totally, saying I want to go up, you need to go to the windmill, you need to do this and this and this and this and this, take pictures there and there and there and there, and then come back, and then is something like this able to do this?
Well, first of all, what's really remarkable is we're using drones. You can take that 3 to 5 hours down to 15 minutes. So it's a lot faster, it's cheaper, and it's a lot safer, because you don't have to send somebody up 50, 60, 70 meters. So it really adds a lot of value also to people. So the amount of automation and autonomy is primarily limited by the current regulation. So even though from a technology perspective we would be able to do this, but current
you're not allowed. You have to still see the drone somewhere.
You have to have visual line of sight, and as a pilot, similar to a car, you always have to have full control over the aircraft.
Okay, some countries you don't, I'm sure.
There are certain pilot projects around the world where beyond visual line of sight is tested in different scenarios.
Okay, but it's still very limited. You need to have line of sight, very limited. You cannot go further than 500 meters or a kilometer maybe?
Visual line of sight, however large the drone is, that is the current regulation, that's correct.
Okay. You have a bunch of commercial drones, which are much bigger and can carry heavier stuff. That's a very small percentage of the business, I presume, but they're more expensive. What can they do? What these cannot do?
Yeah, so it's a growing market, which is fantastic. So considering where we came from, the first Phantom 1 was just a hobbyist product, and now we're talking. Basically, this is a little Hollywood studio that enables you to get 4K.
People are shooting movies. They're using it. Hollywood. It's very popular, right?
For all the YouTubers and bloggers, I mean, this is a fantastic tool that gets you really professional images. So.
You have a big percentage of the market in this one, right? I mean, you're a market leader. What percentage of the market do you have here in this kind of stuff?
Well, we feel we are the market leader, and certainly the innovator behind the whole market. I wouldn't necessarily quote a specific figure, but I think it's fair to say that without DJI, the whole industry, as it stands today, wouldn't exist.
So I am sure it would exist, but you definitely took advantage on the right time, the right moment, with the right product. Legislation, is that a big draw for you? Is it really? Are you helping governments to develop legislation? Are you invited to do that as a market leader?
Well, first of all, it's very important that to point out that as a market leader, we take those responsibilities that come with being a market leader very serious. So when we talk about safety, security, data privacy, but also in terms of education, not just educating our consumers and professional commercial pilots. It's also important to educate governments, regulators, because our business, our whole industry has grown so fast that in many cases it is very difficult for regulators to follow up. So we feel obliged to help them to understand what is actually happening.
That was my question. The answer is yes. Okay, thank you. Well, let's take a look and let them go up.
All right. It's going to be a huge issue.
Yes. Well, let's see how we can fly off.
Please check it on the map.
Okay, I'm going to take that away. So it already says.
Yeah, it's taking off. Low light. There it goes. So how far can this thing go?
Well, technically 8 kilometers.
8 kilometers.
Yes.
Okay.
But again,
not allowed. Not allowed.
Regulation says line of sight. The reason why the distance is relatively high.
Can you press the home button that it goes back automatically?
I wouldn't want to do this now in this environment.
Oh,
but the sensors
there
allow
it
you
goes
to.
back.
to land within a few centimeters.
It's less loud than the previous version. That is my
correct.
my first experience.
Did you like this video? There's more where this came from. Subscribe and click the bell to get notified about our new videos.